We have a lot to get done today, so it's going to be a pretty jam-packed video. And I wanted to start off by explaining the truth of this ZL1 behind me. So far, all I've explained is this car was totaled out by insurance because of flood damage, and then it was sent to auction where I won it and brought it home. Well, there's actually way more to the story. You see, it all started about 10 years ago when my dad and I test drove a new, at the time, 6th generation Camaro SS while we were on vacation in New England. At the time, my dad had been tossing around the idea of getting some sort of convertible for his next car. We had looked at BMW 335i's, Volvo C70s, and a few Mustangs over the years. But ultimately what hooked him was that 2016 Camaro SS convertible that we test drove. Of course, then a few months later, when Chevy announced that they were going to take the 650 horsepower LT4 V8 from the Corvette Z06 and put it in a Camaro dubbed the ZL1, and that there would be a convertible option, that instantly became his #1 choice. Now, as I'm sure many of you guys have guessed, this car behind me isn't just some random ZL1 that I bought at auction. It's actually the car that my dad bought brand new in May of 2018 after, frankly, about a year of trying to find a dealership near us that would have an allocation for a convertible ZL1. Now, I had never really been around cars of this magnitude before. At the time, I was driving around a 2006 Chevy Silverado with over 200,000 miles, I think. So needless to say, as a teenager, this was the coolest thing in the world to me. We made so many memories in this car, from driving up to Truckee to see the snow, to going to Lake Tahoe, to even just cruising up Highway 70 just to get a chance to hear this thing roar through a tunnel.
The girl's standing there, go!
For some reason, he even trusted me a couple weeks after I got my license at 16 to start driving it around myself. So I would take it on trips, go with friends, really any excuse I had to drive the car I would take. To date, it's probably the car that has had the most impact on my life as an enthusiast. So of course, earlier this year when I got a phone call from my little sister saying that their house was flooding, after I made sure she was okay and the rest of my family was okay, the first thing on my mind was, what about the Camaro? Is it okay? And unfortunately, I knew pretty quickly after seeing pictures that insurance was going to declare it a total loss. While the water level did look low, all things considered, it did get high enough to start oozing up through the floorboards. And once that happens, most insurance companies just write it off as a salvage. This news literally hit me like a ton of bricks. And I know that might sound weird to friends and family watching this video, but think about all that this car represents, all the memories made, and just how much it means to me and my sisters. Pretty quickly, I started to formulate a plan for how to keep this car in the family. Now, originally, I was hoping that insurance would give us a buyback option, but we quickly learned that in California, as soon as a car is damaged by flood, the insurance company isn't going to let you buy it back. So we had to go to plan B, watching online auctions like a hawk until I saw it pop up for sale, and then bidding against all the other people in the country who might want this thing. Again, big surprise, I did just that, and now the car's here. Now, because I was planning this since pretty much the moment that I heard it flooded, I was able to inspect the car myself before the insurance company took it. And in that, I was able to do an oil analysis on the engine, which came back perfectly normal, with no traces of water anywhere inside the engine. And with that knowledge in mind, I was even more confident that I could save this car and bring it back to its former glory. That really brings us up to today. You guys saw episode 1 and 2 where we picked up the car from Copart and started tearing down the interior. Now today, we're going to finally clean up all that dirt and nastiness that was left by the floodwater, and then also we're going to check the transmission to make sure water didn't get in there either. We aren't going to waste any time today. First up on the agenda is wiping down these nasty floors. Okay, I'm running into a little bit of a snag here. So it's pretty easy to clean up the open areas, but then this whole kind of trough here where all the wires are, it's really hard to get underneath them. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to undo all these little clips and be able to lift up the wires off the floor. That way I can wipe underneath. Much better. Okay, scrubbing manually by hand was just taking way too long. And there's all these little pokey things. Like, I don't know if you can see, but like stuff like that, when you're rubbing your hand in a paper towel over, it catches. So I went to Walmart and picked up a drill brush set. So hopefully this will allow me to make quicker work of this project. Check it out, got one side clean. Check out that before and after. Okay, now I'm gonna unravel all these wires and try to wipe each one of them down. I got the wires rerouted all nicely, back in their place. And then while we're here, I did end up getting new crash sensors from eBay. So we'll go ahead and replace the one on this side and then the one over there. First, we'll spray the connectors with some contact cleaner though. There's the finished product. I'm gonna spray it with some bleach to kill any mold spores that might still be there. Just douse the whole thing. All right, we'll wipe that up and the passenger side will be all done. Next, I moved over to the driver's side and followed the same process. Soapy water, scrubbing, cleaning the wires, and then bleach to finish it off. Okay, time to change gears a little bit and try to figure out if this transmission here has any water from the flood. Now, what makes this car a little bit more challenging than a lot of cars is that there is no transmission drain plug. And there's actually a pretty complicated procedure to do fluid replacements for the transmission. But I think I figured out a way that we can at least check and see if there's any water in there. We'll drop the transmission pan and catch any fluid in a container that spills out, and then we can use that as a reference for how much transmission fluid to put back in the car after. And theoretically, that should leave us at the exact same transmission level as it was before we started. So as you can see, we already have the car jacked up. Let's get underneath. Well, it didn't waste any time starting to drip. I think we've successfully caught most of it so far. And also, the little bit of fluid that I've seen dripping out of this pan does look pretty clean. So again, that's another great sign. I'm gonna keep loosening the bolts on this end and see if we can tip the pan to get even more flow to spill out over this side, kind of like how it's doing now, but amplified a little bit. I just got the pan off. Take a look at this, guys. Is that not the most complicated and crazy thing you've ever seen? The inside of the transmission. To me, this is just like witchcraft. I know nothing about transmissions or how they work, but the fluid looks pretty good. It's nice, clear red. It's not milky or anything. So we got most of it in there. Some did drop on the floor, but we'll empty it out and see how much transmission fluid we got and what it looks like. Okay, here's the pan, and there's all that fluid in there. See all that? Now, I'm no transmission expert, but to me, that just looks like good, clean, used transmission fluid with a little bit of silt down there. If anyone knows a lot about transmissions, let me know if this looks like there's any water in it. But to me, from where I stand, it looks like it's just transmission fluid, so that's great. Wonderful sign. Okay, with what I've seen of this pan, I think it's pretty clean. Let's go ahead and reinstall it. Well guys, that last scene that you saw is where disaster struck. I was trying to torque down the transmission pan bolts to the proper torque, and unfortunately one of them just snapped in half. And in that process, the threads were damaged, and so I had to do this whole thing of replacing it with a helicoil. If you're interested in that process, go ahead and check out the YouTube short that I did. You might find it informative. And unfortunately for us, that means my master plan of catching all the fluid that drips out of the transmission and using that as a reference to refill it is kind of out the window because a lot of it ended up on my garage floor. So what we're gonna do instead is just go back and do the GM procedure of putting 8.5 quarts into the transmission after you drop the pan, which is what they quote. And then after that, we'll also follow their steps to check the level to make sure it's perfect. So let's get that old filter out and replace the new one, and then get along with that process. Out with the old, and in with the new. We got the transmission pan torqued to spec, no broken bolts this time, and I'm super excited to try this new tool. It's a MightyVac automatic evacuator and dispenser. So I've got 5 quarts of the ATF in here, and we're gonna go ahead and try to pump it in. And it should be as simple as opening a valve. Let's see. Yep, looks like we've got fluid flow. This is so awesome. I'm used to the hand pumps where you've got to do this over and over again. This is so awesome to have. We can pull more pressure here, just keeping an eye on that pressure gauge, making sure it stays in the green. And then we can just watch that fluid level go down as it pumps in all the fluid. Five quarts down. Let's go ahead and add another 3.5. So I have about 4 quarts in there, so we'll stop it when it's at about 1/2 quart, and we'll call that good. Well guys, this tool was awesome to use. I'm so excited that I have it. I can't wait to use it for other things like changing the differential fluid and maybe brake fluid even. But with that, I think I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you for sticking around, and make sure you keep an eye out for episode 4. See ya.